let's talk about 10 cool features for college football 27. Now, I know we're still in the middle of the college football 26 year, and we still have a couple of more updates to go with that, but we are starting to get closer and closer into that college football 27 season. The real college football season is almost over pretty soon, and that's when things start shifting gears and we start hearing more rumors and more leaks about what could possibly be in the upcoming game. And in just a few short months, we're going to start getting a ton of information about that game. So if you don't want to miss out on those videos when they drop, make sure you subscribe and turn the bell icon on, because I'm always going to have the news for you right when it comes out. But let's talk about 10 cool features that I think we could be seeing in this college football 27 game. I did a previous video going over 7 things that I'm almost positive will be in the game just based on things that I've heard. This is more so things that I think will be happening, but I'm not quite as positive, but also things that I just think make sense based on what they've done with Madden and just based on rumors that I've heard. Now, number one, I'm just going to start with gameplay as an overall thing. There's a number of things I think needs to happen with gameplay in this game, and there's been a lot of feedback on that since 26 has been out, and I think they're going to be acting on a lot of this. Mainly CPU gameplay. You know, if you play the computer with Dynasty mode, Road to Glory, the way the computer plays the game can sometimes take you out of it, and it's kind of been a big issue for both college and Madden for some years now. However, to EA's credit, in one of the recent updates, they did put some work in to make this better. They made CPU running backs a lot better than they were before. You know, they hit the hole better. They're not doing useless ball carrier moves. They're not going to the outside when they're supposed to go inside. They also did a little work with making CPU quarterbacks a little bit better, but they're kind of just scratching the surface there. We know that there's more work that needs to be done, and I do know for sure they're working on this, so I think we're going to see some of this in 27, but just things like quarterback play overall, less robo QB. That's always been a problem for EA. Make the QBs have to make more decisions. Also, just make them make smart decisions, which I think they did that in the recent update where they throw the ball away more where it makes sense and they push the ball downfield a little bit more when it makes sense, but there's still more work they could do here to make it even better. And just overall CPU play calling and just situational awareness, especially at the end of halves, at the end of games, in close games, some of the decisions they make. This is something that I think needs a lot of work, and I know they are working on it, so we should see a big improvement with that in 27. On top of that, just overall zone defense, would like to see them be a little bit more aggressive in the game, and would also like to see RPO defense get some more work done to it. They did add some things to help with that this year, but there's still situations where they're not playing the pass options on RPOs, even when you're telling them to sometimes, and you have to set your defense up very specifically to stop these, so I do think overall there could be some more work done there. Number 2, off-season training. This is something that we've seen back in Madden for multiple years now, and it really makes no sense why they can't bring this over to college football. And in fact, in the old days, we saw them do this a lot. When Madden would get a feature, a lot of times college would get it the following year. We've even also seen it with EA's FIFA series over the years, where FIFA would get a big feature and then Madden would get their equivalent to that the year after. And the college football game already has all of those mini games that Madden has, and even some extra ones, I want to say, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be fully incorporated into both Dynasty and in Road to Glory in a way where you could do not only weekly training to focus train a few players to help upgrade them, but also in the off season where you really are trying to upgrade players. I think this should be incorporated, and seeing as Madden has it, I don't see why they wouldn't eventually bring this to college, so I think this year could be the year we see that happen. Now, we're going to continue on with some more important things that we could be seeing in college football 27, but really quickly I want to shout out today's video sponsor, Underdog. If you like sports and you like winning money, then you've got to be on Underdog playing their pick'em game. Basically, all you do is pick higher or lower on player stats, and if they hit, you can win some big money. And with it being Christmas time, they've also announced their Underdog Unwrapped promo, which runs through December 31st. And basically, you can see there's a ton of different boosts and free plays that they're going to be running every single day until December 31st. So now is the best time to join Underdog. And if you join with my code RAY, R-A-Y, you're going to always get a free play of a big name player out of the gate to help you win some money, and they're going to give you $75 in bonus free cash to play with after you play just $5, and you can't beat that. Moving on to number 3, more NIL involvement. We've seen them add NIL over the past 2 years, but it's been done in a very basic way. And initially they said that they didn't want to do too much with NIL because it's still a new thing in college football, and it was, changing by the day almost going back to a couple years ago. There were new rules being put in place, and it's still really early in the whole NIL era. But now that it's been kind of a thing for a few years, I think they should have a little bit more of a grasp on kind of how it works. Of course, it's still going to change as time goes on. There's always going to be new rules put in place. But with it being such a big deal in real football, I think they need to find a way to incorporate this even more into college football, specifically with Road to Glory, and not only the deals you can get, but how you're actually recruited in Road to Glory. And even bigger in Dynasty mode, it should be made a part of recruiting, and it really isn't at this point. Especially if you're a bigger school, you should be able to offer cash to players and things like that. So hopefully they're going to be adding some more NIL involvement. I don't see why they wouldn't, as it's become such a big thing in real college football, and they stated that they want to just kind of sit back and see how things unfolded for a little bit before they went too deep on it into the game, because they didn't want to program and build all these things for the game and then have to rip it out if new rules came into place. But now that some time has passed, I think they should kind of be safe to start going forward with some more NIL involvement. Number 4, commitment flips. This is something we just don't really see in the game. Like, obviously, I do think players can decommit in the game. I don't play Dynasty a whole lot, so I'm not 100% sure, but I know that they don't just flat out flip. And that's something we see happen all the time in real life. You'll think you have a player. I mean, my LSU Tigers had Bryce Underwood pretty much committed, and at the last minute, he flipped and went to Michigan because they gave him a bunch of money. So we'd like to see them incorporate that in some way into Dynasty just to make it even more crazy than it already is. Number 5, a halftime show. And to go with this, a weekly wrap up on top of that. Why not? Because they kind of both work together. We saw them implement that into Madden this year. Again, in the old days when Madden would get a big feature, usually college would get it the year after. Don't see any reason why they wouldn't bring this to college football. They already have the system set in place for Madden where it shows the replays and it has a brief overview at halftime and in the weekly wrap up. You could easily port that over to college football. They're, essentially the same game under the hood. There's obviously differences in the game, but they run on the same engine. I don't see why you wouldn't take this over. It would just make the college football experience even that much better. It's been good for Madden. It would be great for college as well. So I do think we could see that get added. Number 6 is kind of a fun one, but the ability to be an athletic director. Now, back in the day, Madden had owner mode, and they actually just recently removed that option from the game, but I believe they removed it because they're probably trying to kind of rebuild it in a way. I don't think it's something that's going to be gone forever, but it kind of is something that fell by the wayside for a while and got stale and didn't really get any improvement, so I do think it's something they kind of have to revamp and overhaul, but I think that would be a cool thing to bring over to college because college really never had that experience. You could really only be a coach in college. I think being an athletic director would be a cool thing. And while I'm not 100% sure that this is something that's going to be in 27, it probably isn't. I just think it would be cool if it was added. But I think down the line, this is something they should definitely look into where you can just oversee the entire program itself. Think that could be a pretty cool take on the college football experience that we haven't seen in a game from EA. Number 7, the coaching carousel overhaul. I mean, look, if you played this game, you know the coaching carousel leaves a lot to be desired. Like I said earlier, I don't play a whole lot of Dynasty, but I play it a little bit. And this is just part of the game that still just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think they should also have some more availability open to when you can hire these coaches. It's kind of just very brief. And a lot of times it just doesn't make sense. You could win a championship at a smaller school, and then, the best you're going to get is like an offensive coordinator position at like an equally as small of a school instead of getting any head coach offers. It's kind of weird. It's definitely just something that is not working 100% properly. I'm not saying it needs, a top to bottom overhaul, but it just needs to be better. It needs to work better. The ability to get bigger jobs should happen more often, and they should have some more time open for you to actually sign coaches. It just happens a lot quicker than I think it should be happening in the game. Number 8, more player customization. This is something we talk about every year, and I do think this is something they're working on and trying to get better with. We do know because of NIL, there are some areas where they have to be careful because, they don't want to get sued. If a player opts out of the game, they don't want you to be able to easily recreate them. They don't want you to be able to easily recreate, popular recruits. Imagine in last year's game if you were creating Bryce Underwood, but they didn't have his rights yet, right? They obviously have to look out for stuff like that, but I do think there's some more wiggle room where they can open this up. Obviously, we know things like equipment is something they're working on that we want, but I'm talking more of like just the personalization of a player. I think they should make it to where you can change the appearance of players. Not necessarily the names, but numbers and appearance I think is kind of a good one because we know if we played this game, there's just a lot of players that look crazy that you're trying to recruit. They don't match the name or they just look like an old man. They just don't look like a football player. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it. If you play it, you know what I mean. I think the ability to edit appearances and things like that would go a very long way with a lot of people. Number 9, stadium upgrades. Now, in my previous video, I talked about a stadium creator, which is something I know that they want to add, and I think maybe 27 is the year we could see that, but stadium upgrades is kind of something a little bit different from that because this could both work in a stadium creator or just a stadium that already exists in a way. Now, I know these real life teams, obviously they don't want you to alter their stadiums, right? But I think there's just little ways that you can make this possible. But this would be really cool for generic stadiums or in a stadium creator when they eventually bring that along. You should be able to upgrade stadiums. Like if I have a team builder school and I'm at a generic stadium, or I build a small stadium, if I build that school up and then we join like a bigger conference and they become, more of a powerhouse, I should be able to, upgrade that stadium, add more things to it. I think this is just a small thing we saw in older games. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it makes people come back to play it. It's those little things that add up over time. You add 20 little things, it makes a big difference. Number 10, more options in Road to the College Football Playoff. Now, this is my personal favorite mode because I like online head-to-head play with regular teams. I just think there needs to be more customization for this mode. The ability to play night games is one of the big ones. That, it's such a big thing for college football, and you can't play night games in this mode. That would be pretty cool. Obviously, the ability to change uniforms, I don't understand why this is a thing, because in Madden, you can change uniforms in their online mode. I really don't understand why this hasn't been added. It's definitely something I've told them about a bunch, and I think they're going to be adding that at some point. I don't really know what's taking that so long, to be honest, but there's so many different alternate uniforms in college. It's one of the coolest things about college football, yet when you're playing online, you can only wear the regular home and away. So they need to fix that. I also would like them to open up the playbooks in a way, because they make you play with the team's playbook of the team you're playing with. I don't personally love that. I know some people do. I do think they should loosen that up a little bit. Not saying that if you're Alabama or LSU, you should be playing with the Army or Navy playbook, but open it up to where if you have a pro style playbook, or you have a run and shoot playbook, or whatever the case may be, that you can also use other styles of that same playbook. So other pro style playbooks, other run and shoot playbooks, because some are just better than others in the game and you want more plays at your disposal. So just adding stuff like that, I think, would make this mode a lot better for a lot of people. Now, if you want to know about the other 7 big features that I'm pretty sure are going to be in College Football 27, just based on things that I've heard, make sure you check out this important video right here on the screen.